Alright, hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is PSP Baby, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about bringing your firearms to Puerto Rico. Okay, so recently I went on a trip with my girl and her friend, and we spent about 10 days in Puerto Rico. And like most of you guys who are watching this video, you probably want to conceal carry everywhere you go, especially the times that we're in. So here's the story. I looked up online, looked up on Reddit, got a lot of different mixed reviews and personal experiences on bringing your firearm to Puerto Rico and the laws surrounding it. So I will tell you this from the bat: you cannot bring your firearm to Puerto Rico without a Puerto Rican firearms license. I know you probably read that, some people got away with it, this and that. I saw the list of people's names that they've been taking the firearms. You're not getting away with it. Unless, we'll get to that later on down the video. So basically, I went out there, I brought two firearms. I brought my FN57 and I brought my XD45. Okay, it's all empty. Let's check this one. All right, so I brought these two firearms and I brought 200 rounds of ammunition. Actually, probably like 300-400. I don't know. I'm pretty wild. That's just how I roll, especially being in another country. I just look at it as if I get stuck out there for a long period of time, I wish I had that much ammo. And I also brought, at least 12 magazines, 6 and 6 of each, whatever the case may be. And I packed it according to the airplane, the airline's guidelines. You can look that up, but pretty much you have to keep your ammunition and your firearms in separate cases and no magazines in the firearms. You also definitely want to keep it in the ammunition in the boxes that it comes with. Here's the 5.7, they're loose, but this one is the 45. It comes in, these little slotted cases. So pretty much just keep it in the boxes that it comes with when you're flying any airline, and make sure to read the airline's rules regarding that. The TSA, you go on TSA.com, and the airline guidelines for each individual airlines. I flew American, so it's pretty easy to fly with firearms. I fly with them all the time, but this is my first time flying out of the country. It is a U.S. territory, but it's still technically out of the country. I just want to say shout out to the Puerto Rican people. They're very nice people. The weather is questionable, very humid, but I have sinus issues. That's the only thing that affected me, but I love the rain and I love the Puerto Rican people. Beautiful people, amazing food, amazing time, amazing beaches. Anyways, let's get back to the firearms. So I had these two firearms in this case right here, folded on top of each other just like this. And I had the ammunition in a separate case. So pretty much, let me just move this out the way. Pretty much I had it, according to the guidelines, both in locked containers. And then I had the magazines that had no ammunition in them separately in my FN bag. So here's the story. When I got there, I was like, okay, let's see if this works. It didn't. They said, sir, come with us. You're the guy with the firearms. Actually, I was waiting for my bag and I didn't find the bag. I already knew, according to, a lot of Reddit posts, that they have my bag. So I went to go ask them. They said, oh, you have firearm? No worries. We'll call the police. They have a police station on site at the airlines. And the police are going to come confiscate your firearms. And they're going to hold it for the duration of your stay. Okay, fine. I read somebody say that exact same thing on Reddit, so I was prepared. But I'm still going to try. I'm not a quitter, okay? So when the police officer came, there was another girl who flew in with her firearm. She had 2 children, and they took hers too. And she was Puerto Rican, but you have to have a Puerto Rican firearms license. You cannot go in with the CCW from any state. They really don't care about any of that. They want to see the Puerto Rican firearms license. Unless, I forgot about this, unless you are a police officer or military. If you're either two of those things, You can bring your firearms to Puerto Rico, no problem, as long as you have the identification for it. Police officer, military. I'm not either. So that's good for you guys. Thank you for your service, by the way. So they took me to the police station. They brought me in the back room. I was very scared. I'm not gonna lie, because I seen Locked Up Abroad. I don't feel like dealing with none of that, especially dirty jail cells or whatever. But I'm trusting in God. Everything went fine, thank God. And they just took my information and they took the serial numbers off of the firearms and pretty much confiscated them and the ammunition. But one thing I did notice, and they also gave me a receipt. One thing I did notice, I'm not condoning this, but I did notice they are very lax because they are on island time and island mindset. They asked me to hand them the firearms from my luggage, which I did, no problem. And they didn't ask for the ammunition. I handed them the ammunition. They didn't even ask for the magazines. I kept the magazines, and it was fine. And they were scrambling, talking a lot, like they didn't really know how to deal with the situation. Maybe because I brought so much ammunition, they probably thought I was some sort of somebody. And the type of firearm, the FN57, I don't think they see it that often, especially with the, attachments. They probably thought it was some splendiferous thing. I don't know. They were very adamant about me and my firearms. The other girl, she was in and out quick. But they probably thought I was, who knows? Anyways, what I did notice is that they asked me to hand them my firearms, which I did. But they didn't check my luggage. Okay? I'm not condoning this. I'm not telling anybody to do this. But it could work, possibly. Okay? Listen here. Let's just say you check in your firearms with the airlines according to, guidelines. You disclose your firearms. You tell them how many firearms you have, yada, yada. But when you get there, they will confiscate them. See, I did bring 2 firearms. But I'm thinking if I had the 2 firearms in 2 separate cases, not condoning this, 2 separate cases, and I placed one of the firearms underneath, the lining of the luggage, in a secure locked box as you're supposed to do, they wouldn't have found it. I don't think so. I don't think they would have even looked because they're not really worried about looking. They just want you to, give them your stuff as they ask, and so you can proceed on with your day and enjoy Puerto Rico. It's an amazing place. The people are very nice. But I did, I still had my knife. I felt secure in some way. I went down to La Placita. One thing I did notice about La Placita is that the security guards were walking around with AR pistols, 60 round mags, and Glock 19, I believe it was Glock 19, with an extended 33 round ETS mag sticking out of his pocket, not even in a holster. So, and gold chains on and a mask, a shiesty mask like this. So I don't know how much safe I felt with that. And also, I was going to a club in La Placita, and the other security guard, I think he was high off of something, and he told me that I had to leave the line. Me, I'm like, I don't care. I don't know what I did. I'm gonna leave the line. And my girl was like, oh, he's with me. And then he looked at me, and I was just like, I'm not trying to put up any fight. I don't care about none of this partying. I don't give a fuck. I just want to go home. So he said, okay, because he was kicking out some other kids that were like joking around or something, playing around, some Asian kids. And he said, both of you get out the line. I was like, great, we're both out the line. And then the Asian kid went back to the front of the line and snuck back in. And he grabbed him and threw him on the floor, the security guard. And then the Asian kid stood up. And then as soon as the Asian kid stood up, he reached for his firearm. The security guard reached for a firearm for a minor altercation about cutting in line or something. So I think, he must have been under the influence with something. I don't know. It didn't seem safe. Not saying me concealing a firearm in that situation would have helped in any way, but it would have probably made me feel a little bit better. And they check you anyway, so it's going to be kind of hard to conceal carry in La Placita. I was traveling with 2 females, so it was, you know, you become a target in some way, especially if they look decent. Men in groups, they will challenge you, especially I'm 6'4". They'll challenge you. It comes with the territory when you're with females that are apropos. And it is what it is. Not saying having a concealed carry during these times would be any better, but it definitely would make me feel safer. Because, you know, I'm not trying to kill anybody, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do to survive. But that is the story with that. Puerto Rico, amazing place. The people are beautiful, very nice people. I only felt, you know, worried like when I went to El Yunque to go hike in the rainforest and on an island, you know, stuff like that. I watched a lot of Hostel and things, so that's why my mind is the way it is. But anyways, if you want to get your firearm there, not correctly, you know, I already said that little story. You got to rewind it, and I'm not going to repeat that. But you cannot bring your firearm to Puerto Rico unless you have a Puerto Rican license or you are military or police. So that is my story with Puerto Rico and bringing your firearms to Puerto Rico. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe and comment away. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Have a great day.